Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ontario Cryptids. I hope you all are enjoying this new format. Please let me know by leaving a comment below. If you have an encounter story that you would like to share, then please forward your stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. I'd be honored to share your story with like-minded people. Now, sit back and relax as we begin with today's episode. For this encounter, we're going to be heading to Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia. The date is unknown. A quick background. Frank comes to see our band play all the time, and we're good friends. He often tells me stories about Vietnam on his hunting trips. I trust him completely. There ain't no telling what else he knows, but won't talk about for various reasons. What follows is a text of his letter. Here goes. This fall, my ex-partner went back to Kamchatka. I did not go this time. I was tied up, not by a woman, unfortunately. I'll try to make it short. JD, my main partner and owner of the firm now, shot a huge old boar brown bear. It was not as tall, long as my biggest Alaskan brown. Mine is 10 feet, 4.5 inches. At 9 feet 10 inches, but was immensely blocky, heavy and muscular. Pictures taken right before the shot as it looked like an M1A1 Abrams tank with dark brown fur, obviously the king of the valley. They had tracked it on and off for 4 days and had come across an interesting sight. An area near a creek choked with strawberry bushes and looked like it was the scene of an epic battle. It was rocky and gravel, so not much in the way of tracks, but it looked like 2 bulldozers had gone at each other. Saplings up to 4 inches in diameter snapped like soda straws, bushes ripped up, scattered fur, etc. They presumed the boss had laid down the law about the territory ownership to another boar. They were hot on his track and had to keep going, and as they did, JD saw something curious. It was a large tree branch, 4.5 to 5 feet long, and about 5 to 6 inches in diameter at the big end, 4 feet or so at the smaller end. It obviously had been torn off a nearby tree. JD said he looked at it twice as they moved through the area because the big end had blood and fur on it. He just assumed at the time one of the bears had slammed into it while fighting. The next day, when they caught up with the boar, he was bedded in a deep thicket. They circled and got into position at the edge of a small clearing just as the boar came out. He was moving very slowly and stiffly up the mountain. JD got him with 2 shots from his .416 Wrigley. Nothing dramatic, but JD is a real hunter and insists on helping with the skinning. That's when they got an additional surprise. The boar was really beaten up. Not fatally, but he was one sore, battered bear, and had some very unusual wounds from a bear fight. When they rolled him over to skin him, there was a big area on his chest and stomach where the fur was pulled out, including claw marks. JD said it looked like something had jumped on his back and had his arms around him, holding on while it bit. They thought at first a Siberian tiger. That would be one hell of a fight, a 1,400-pound bear and a 750-pound cat. But the marks were wrong. A tiger wouldn't pull fur out. It can't clench its paws into fists, and the claw marks were wide and shallow. These were spread out wide apart between the fingers. If you hold your hand out and spread your fingers, they spread pretty far apart, and the bears don't. Big brown bears such as mine have claws up to 4.5 to 5 inches long, but there are only 4 on the front paw. The 5th is a dew claw up where a wrist joint is. There were 5 of these, one in an opposable thumb position. Opposable thumb Frank underlined with a pen. In other words, marks that appear to come from a very large pair of hands. Hands underlined too. What was just as weird was when the huge hide was off up onto the neck. There were several large bite marks on the bear's neck and shoulders. The curious thing is they were not as deep as you would expect from a bear, and the teeth marks were more rounded or molar-like. But most strangely was the whole bite mark was very horseshoe-shaped, whereas a bear's bite mark is much longer and narrow-like. Well, the long and the short of it was that one of the local guides gave the following account of what had happened. The other guides agreed and looked at the sign fairly closely at the site before moving on. The boss boar had come up the creek into the wind and surprised a female. They used their words for Bigfoot, in his berry patch and attacked. The big male Bigfoot jumped him from cover where he had been feeding. The guides say the big males are 9 feet tall and 750 to 800 pounds and immensely strong. Well, duh, this is my surprised look. Anyway, the fight was on, horrific but brief. The female did not join in but fled with her youngsters. As soon as the female was safely out of danger, the male followed. He had inflicted some pretty severe bites to the bear, but the massively strong boar had got him off his back. The boar, they say, had inflicted a severe bite to probably the male's thigh and several nasty off-balance paw swats. If his feet had been under him to provide power and leverage, the male Bigfoot would have been crushed. The local guides say such encounters are rare, but do happen when they surprise each other. True? Who knows? But my buddy of 40 years had hunted all over the world and had taken several other bears. He has skinned hundreds of animals, and JD said those wound marks sure did not look like they came from another bear. The one other weird thing that JD said, that the boar really stunk, especially on his back. Now, a bear in the wild, damp, soggy, and muddy does not smell like lilacs in the spring or a freshly showered and powdered woman. Having carried quite a few bears out, I can best describe them as a musty old thrown rug that's been laying on an earthen basement damp floor all winter. JD agreed, but said this was different. He said that the bear's back smelled foul, like whatever was clinging there smelled bad and possibly even urinated on the bear while fighting. He likened it to a cross between a week-old napalmed water buffalo I had behind a Nam for 3 days and a Wolverine scent stink we smelt in Alaska. Anyways, that's the story. No proof of any kind, but lots of interesting oddities. JD asked about tracking the family, but the guide said that there wasn't enough money in the world to get them to do something as foolish as to track a mad, wounded, protective Bigfoot. Besides, they said, late in the fall they always went way back from the coast to several super nasty hellhole little canyons that have natural hot springs, and they winter there. An interesting footnote. JD called today and told me the following. He had called over there to check of the status of some large salmon they had caught and left there to be mounted. Outfitters told him that after they left, the season was over, and one guide rode on one of the older Kawasaki snowmobiles back to the area to bring out some personal and camp items that were left. He parked the snowmobile on a ridge above the fight scene after picking up the things he had come for. He decided to go down to the little river to catch a few salmon. There was not much snow on the ridge, mostly ice, but much below he had snowshoed down about half a mile and fished for about an hour. He caught 4 salmon and climbed back out to discover his snow machine was gone. It had been picked up and shoved down the other side of the ridge, and it weighed almost 500 pounds. Fortunately for him, as he was 20 miles back in, it hung up on a bush only about 20 feet down the ridge side. After some struggle, fueled by a great desire to get the hell out of there, he got it back on its track, got it started, and got the hell out of there, with only a smashed windshield and a cracked hood. That's a subtle way of saying, go the hell away and leave us alone for the winter. Okay, that's going to be it for today. I hope you all enjoyed today's episode. I think this is the first encounter I have read from Russia. Very interesting that a bear fought a Bigfoot. It is also interesting that Russians don't seem to hide Bigfoot's existence like we do here. In this encounter, it sounds like it's a matter of fact and not unusual to stumble on them every once in a while. If these stories reminded you of an encounter that you may have had and would like to share, then please forward your stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. I'd be honored to share your story on this channel. Thank you for listening until the end. I truly appreciate it. Please hit the like button on your way out and smash the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. Have yourselves a great weekend, and I hope to see you all next week right here on Ontario Cryptids.